Hello,
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
am I audible? Okay, was I audible earlier also?
No, ma'am.
Okay, because I'm not getting any this over here. Like when you speak, I can see those. Okay. The moment of the mic normally shows you those bars moving. I was not able to get them. Fine. Thank you. How are you?
Nice, ma'am.
Okay, I think last time you missed it. Should I start?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you revise it quickly? I mean, so
Yes.
I can understand.
No, I'll do that because I wanted to do it, and yeah, let me do it. Okay, one moment, huh? Let me share my screen. Hello, Samir. Last time you were present or Suraj? I get confused between the two. Samir was present, I suppose. Yes, fine. Suraj was absent and Sankalpavan. Anyways, I'm doing what we did last time so that it is just a revision also. Yeah. Now, this is little. I'm starting from here, organic reaction basis. Now, what I want to ask you is Sankalpa, in your earlier in your standard, because you are a CBSE student, have you all done hybridization? Are you aware of SP3, SP2, and SP hybridization?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I don't know how they have put it included over here, but right now just understand that SP3, SP2 hybridization is needed. I don't want to go into the details of it. As such, the chapter is pretty long enough. Right now, I'll just mention what is there, but we'll be doing it later on. And if it is not included, I will take into my extra class also whenever, so that you all understand it. But right now, I'm not going to go into the details. First, let us complete what is given as per the syllabus in the whatever is required. Okay, fine. So now coming to, we talked about, I think this was, if you remember, isomerism was done. Yeah, we did isomerism. Then we have structural isomerism and stereoisomerism. Stereoisomerism, right now we did not look into it much. What we concentrated on was chain isomerism, position isomerism, functional isomerism, and metamerism. I had to look into it, but I haven't checked my sankalpa about metamerism. I'll see that later on. And tautomerism. So these are different types of isomerism or isomers which are there. That is the same molecular formula but different structural formula, or the way they are the carbon skeletons or the different positions of the functional group. So we need to look into that. That could be a full-fledged question of 2 marks or say 3 marks, or 1 mark. This also can be asked. 5 points about those can be asked at each one mark can be asked. Anyways, we go further with this. And now, since here I just want you all to, this is particularly now what happens in any reaction. Say for example, when you talk about a reaction, say A plus B, general reaction, giving you C plus D. Now A is the substrate. Substrate is the base with which you are going to substrate. This is the reagent, product and byproduct. This is generally a typical reaction. Say for example, I have a reaction CH4 plus Cl2 giving me CH3 Cl plus HCl. Okay, this is my general reaction wherein methane is the substrate, that is the compound which I'm going to carry out the reaction. This is a reagent which is I'm going to use to bring about the reaction. This is my expected product and this is my byproduct. I'm not interested in this. Maybe if it is an industry, if this is going to be used for some other this, I can always use this also. This can also be my product for some other. Okay, but my main product for this reaction is that chloromethane. Now, during this reaction, something is going on. That is, a bond breaking is going to take place. That is, the bond between CH3 and H is going to break to give me, in presence of chlorine, to give me CH3 Cl. Now, during this, what happens to this pair of electron? How does this bond break? There are two electrons involved in this one bond, one covalent bond. This is a covalent bond. Then, what are the species which are getting formed? Species are the intermediate compounds which are getting formed over here. Is there going to be a positive species? Is there going to be a negative species? All that needs to be looked into this kind of an reaction. Okay, so and then you can also get some, when you put in a curve, potential energy diagram, you get some humps also with respect to the reactant products. And so this is the transition state. There is also a transition state, that is the intermediate state, and then you get the products. So these are the reactant. This is the intermediate state wherein bond breaking, bond formation takes place. It could be one hump or two humps. So this is, sometimes a curve is always plotted, a graph is plotted. That we can see it later on when it in the 12th standard you will be having this kind of. Then first let us look into what type of bond breaking and bond formation. So bond breaking, what are the types of bond breaking which is taking place? So let us go back to, yeah. So all organic molecules primarily contain various types of covalent bonds between the constituent atom. During an organic reaction, molecules of the reactant undergo change in their structure. So there is always some orientation in the, a covalent bond at carbon atom in the reactant is broken and a new covalent bond is formed, giving rise to product. Just now what I told you, that simple reaction between methane and chlorine giving you chloromethane and HCl. Often this change is brought about by means of another reactant. The reactant that provides carbon to the new compound is called as the substrate. So CH4 was the substrate. The other reactant which brings about this change is called as the reagent. In case both the reactants provide carbon atoms to a new bond, the reactant considered as also a substrate. So that, or both those are going to be the substrate. Apart from the product of the product of interest, some other products are formed in the reaction. These are called as byproducts. So here you can see substrate, reagent, product and byproduct, which we talked just now. Now, covalent bonds are made of valence electrons. As I told you that there were two valence electrons in that one bond. Redistribution of the valence electrons of constituent atom results in bond breaking or bond formation process. So here there is a bond breaking between carbon and hydrogen and a new bond is formed between chlorine. Here there is a breaking of two chlorine bonds and then the bond between two chlorine atoms and then forming a new bond with carbon. Okay, and here the other chlorine atom forms a bond with hydrogen. Um, Yeah, as a result, the overall organic reaction is punctuated by formation of one or more unstable species, which is called as intermediate. So always a reaction during this bond breaking and bond formation, there is also a step which is called as intermediate. Now there could be many such intermediates. Overall, the organic reaction is considered as multi-step process. So between a bond breaking and bond formation, there are many intermediates, and those are called as steps. And if the more the number of steps, it is going to be a multi-step process. Okay, a sequential account of an electron movement taking during each step. So now, what is a reaction? So it is an account of. So whenever a reaction is happening, what do you get to see? If you are going to observe it very keenly, you will observe that the electron. One moment. Is there any difficulty? Some sound there. Okay. So far clear, no? There is no difficulty. Yeah, let us go further. Don't put it into the chat box. Huh? If you have any difficulty, please ask me directly there itself. Huh? So that, because when I'm on the chapter, I don't get to see here at the chat box. Okay. So now, whenever there is a reaction going on, it consists of electron movement taking place during each step, the bond cleavage or bond formation, accompanying changes in energy and shapes of various species, and rate of overall reaction. So all these points need to be considered. Slowly will be considered. First, today we will be checking into the electron. I think this is white. The electron movement taking place during each step. First, we let us see what happens. How do then the bond cleavage, bond formation, that also will be understanding. The accompanying changes in energy and shapes, that will be seen later on. Rate of overall reaction. The individual steps constitute the reaction mechanism. So all these steps make the reaction mechanism. The knowledge of mechanism of a reaction is useful for understanding the reactivity of the concerned organic compounds, in turn helpful for planning synthetic strategies. So when you go further in your classes, when you go into their advanced classes, when you're doing some research, when this is your base for understanding what kind of reaction, how is it taking place. It is as if you're looking into the pot. That is, whenever you're putting a reaction in the flask, you're looking into the flask actually, and you're seeing these molecules or atoms breaking and forming of the nest. So when you understand, when you know what happens in a particular reaction, you're capable of formulating your own reaction on paper and then carrying it out. That is, you understand the reaction properly, then you can put it on paper, say a new reaction. I'm talking with respect to a new reaction. So whenever any new reaction, research is nothing but it is something wherein you're doing a new reaction. So when you're doing that reaction, that time you should be able to plot the reaction, because you know the base or you know the concepts which are taking, that this will react faster, this can react this way. So you actually plan the reaction and then you go further. Need not be that at most of the times how you planned you can understand, you can get, but need not be that all the time whatever you plan you will get this, because practical theoretically you put it onto the paper, need not be that it will happen practically. ओके, कळतंय. रिॲक्शन मध्ये आपण जे काही प्लॉटिंग करतो, आता रिॲक्शन मध्ये बॉन्ड ब्रेकिंग, बॉन्ड फॉर्मेशन कसं होतं हे समजून घ्यायचंय, आणि मग ते ज्या पद्धतीने होतं हे तुम्हाला समजलं पाहिजे. आणि एकदा का त्याला बऱ्याच असे स्टेप्स असतात किंवा पायऱ्या असतात, आणि अशा रिॲक्शन्सला मल्टी स्टेप रिॲक्शन्स म्हटलं जातं. ह्याच्यामध्ये तुम्हाला वेगवेगळे स्पीशीज तयार झालेले असतात, म्हणजे काही पॉझिटिव्ह चार्ज असतात, काही नेगेटिव्ह चार्ज असतात, इलेक्ट्रॉन डोनेशन असतं, इलेक्ट्रॉन एक्सेप्टन्स असतं. अशा रिॲक्शनला ऍसिड बेस्ड रिॲक्शन, all organic reactions are nothing but acid based reaction, because what is this electron donation and electron acceptance? Because bond formation in bond, whether it is a single electron or a pair of electron. Okay, asha hala. So let us go further and check it out what happens. Am I clear so far? कळलं सगळ्यांना? Yeah. Now, in the following subsection, we are going to look at the type of bond cleavage, type of reagent, the factors that influence the stability of various species involved, and representation of electron movement occurring during organic reactions. So now let us see type of cleavage of covalent bond. A covalent bond can undergo breaking, fission. Fission is nothing but cleavage, or fission is nothing but breaking. Okay, cleavage or fission in two ways: homolytic and heterolytic cleavage. Okay, now understand the term homo and hetero. Homo means of the same type. Hetero means something. Say, for example, we have seen that in our see, when we talk about this, you call it as homocyclic. Barabar? This is because all are carbon and hydrogen. All these atoms are nothing but carbon, hydrogen. There is nothing, no other atom or group. Okay, but supposing I have this. Now this becomes heterocyclic. Why? Because others are carbon, hydrogen, carbon, hydrogen. Okay, so instead of that, you have nitrogen and hydrogen. Do you understand that? Therefore, this is homocyclic, this is heterocyclic. So you have two different, or rather three different elements. Here you have only two elements, that is carbon and hydrogen involved in this. Okay, similarly, when you're talking about bond for cleavage or bond breaking, it is homocyclic and heterocyclic. How do you look at that? So let us go ahead. A covalent bond comprises two electrons, that is a bond pair of electrons. So whenever there is a covalent bond, you say there are two shared between the two atoms, okay, two bonded atoms. In homolytic cleavage of covalent bond, one of the two electron goes to one of the bonded atoms and the other is bound to the other. Movement of single electron is represented by half head curved arrow or fish hook arrow. Understand this name, fish hook arrow. Okay, this is called as fish hook arrow. The tail, this is the tail. Tail of the curved arrow indicates the place from where the electron is removed, while the head, this is the head. The head tells you, indicates a place where the electron reaches as a result of the movement. Now, I know you mustn't have followed. I mean, little bit you must have followed. What? See, what happens over here is, this white or red is better. So, now say for example, I have this. Forget this. I will not be able to explain you this. This is it. This is the chlorine molecule. One chlorine atom plus another chlorine atom gives you chlorine molecule. Now this, when I expose it to sunlight or some active energy, this bond breaks. Now if it is to break, how will it break? The breaking of the bond is homolytic fission. It is called as homolytic fission. Now in this case, this, the two electron, which two electron? Here there is electron, here there is. So one of the electron remains with one. Look at the way I am showing the arrow. I'm just showing half arrow. Normally arrow is shown like this. This is called as curved arrow. This is called as reaction arrow. This is called as equilibrium arrow. There are so many. This is called as tautomerism or canonical form. This is double head arrow. This is reversible arrow. This is straight reaction arrow. This is your curved arrow. Now curved arrows are of two types. When you completely show it this way, it is that the two electron movement is shown. This is the tail and this is the head. So here you have the head, this is the tail. The tail shows from where the electrons are moving to the head where it. Now here we are not showing that, we are showing half arrow. This is called as fish hook arrow. ज्याला आपण मराठीत गळ म्हणतो ना, fish hook. That is when somebody is fishing, that time they put it into the water. So this is like it. So this portion is like a fish hook. So it is called as fish hook. or it is also called a single barbed arrow. It is called a single barbed arrow. Okay. So therefore, what do you get over here is 2Cl with one electron each, or you can also show it as Cl with one electron plus Cl with another electron. Do you understand that? So Cl you get with one electron each. This is called as homolytic fission. Is it clear so far? In case of carbon also with hydrogen, supposing you have to show it, then you can always show that homolytic fission this way. So here you are, that is, say for example, there is equal breaking. So now I use this color here, half remains over here, half remains. And what these are called as free radicals. What are they called as? Radicals. They are neutral species. Here I'm not putting any charge because both are having equal. So they are called as free radicals. There is no charge on this. Okay, so these are free radical neutral species. You'll understand what do you mean by charged species also later on. So far, is it clear to you people?
Ma'am, can you give an example?
Means of what? I have given you this example of what I haven't followed.
Ma'am, so it shows that one electron goes to H and one to CH3.
Yes, one electron goes to H and one to CH3.
Okay, ma'am.
Sorry, same way as chlorine atom breaks. Okay, so here same thing I showed you for chlorine, bromine, because they are same elements, so therefore it is easy to show for them. But such things also happen between carbon, and because their electronegativities are same. But supposing if I have to show you this way, this also is possible in presence of light, but most of the time chlorine is electronegative, so it will carry both the electrons. In such case, this becomes as heterolysis. That we are going to come later on. Right now, this is homolysis. Homolysis means equal breaking of, that is, each one carries one electron each. So just now what this was, these two are examples only. That is, in this case, carbon and hydrogen is breaking. So in this case, hydrogen is getting one electron, CH3 is getting. Supposing if you have to see the product, that will be like this. That is a methyl free radical and a hydrogen free radical. Here you are getting two chlorine free radical. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Let us go further. Samir is, yeah, last time he was there. Samir, so you can still ask any difficulty if you have. Okay, fine. Let us go further. Okay. So moment of single electron is represented by half-headed arrow, the curved, so which is called as fish hook. The tail of the curved arrow indicates the place from where the electron is moving. So we showed always the tail from the bond where it is going to the atom. Okay. While the head of the curved arrow indicates the place where the electron reaches as a result of the movement. Such homolytic cleavage of covalent bond give rise to two neutral species carrying one unpaired electron each. A species with single unpaired electron is called as free radicals. Here you are. This is so this is one free radical and this is another free radical. Here you can have Cl, Br, anything whichever you want. Okay. Or sometimes just a radical. It is also called as radical or free radical. A free radical is unstable and thereby a reactive species. This species cannot stay for a long time. It is very reactive. It is in search of some product. Otherwise, again, it will combine back to give you AB. It will not stay in the reaction pot for a long time. So therefore, you also have to have the reagent. So this not reagent, substrate. This is going to be the reagent now. This reagent is going to attack the substrate if it finds in its way. Okay. So a free radical is unstable and thereby a reactive species having a tendency to seek an electron for pairing. So it is also in search of another group which has got a single electron and then the product is formed. A homolytic cleavage is thus represented like this. For example, now if you have CH3Cl, H nu is the source of light. This happens in presence of light. It is a photochemical reaction. So you can see that you get a methyl free radical and a chlorine free radical. Look at the movement of electron. That is, these two electrons are transferred, one to chlorine each and one to methyl radical. So here homolytic fission is favored in presence of ultraviolet radiation or suitable peroxides. There are some compounds which are known as peroxides, and these peroxides also help in carrying out free radical reaction at high temperature. The organic reaction which proceeds by homolytic fission are known as free radical or non-polar reaction. These reactions are called as free radical or non-polar. Non-polar, why? Because there are no charges over here. That is, polarity is a positive or a negative charge. Here you are not seeing any charge, and therefore these are non-polar reaction. They will be happening in organic solvents. Organic solvents are normally non-polar solvent, but you have polar solvents such as water, methanol. These are the ones which have the charged species, whereas these reactions happen in gaseous phase or sometimes mostly in vapor phase. So therefore they are non-polar reaction. Free radicals have only transitory existence, that is a short existence, not a very long time existence. It is just a temporary existence. These are formed as reaction intermediate which subsequently react with another radical molecule. So these are formed as intermediates in the reaction, which will immediately react with some other species. Now look here, this is important. Here I'm not able to explain you what is hybridization. I mean, I don't mind explaining you, but it will be, I mean, I'll be wasting my time and you may not understand it properly over here. um, how do I explain in short? See, this free radical, the shape of this free radical, all carbon species have definite shape. Now, this carbon free radical is sp2 hybridized and reveals a planar trigonal geometry. That this geometry is called as planar. Let me try and explain you since you're here, Sankalpa. Samir, also pay attention. What is hybridization? Let me just explain, because this will be required further. Say for example, do you know electronic configuration of carbon? Are you aware that carbon has got how many electrons in its outermost
Two
shell?
six, right?
Uh, yeah, it is. See, it is 1s2, 2s2. So it is 2, 4. So here you are 1s2, 2s2, and 2p2. Okay, these are, when you're going to learn your periodic table, in that you have that these electrons are placed like, these are the orbitals. So first orbital, it is having 2 electrons. Okay. In the second one, also 2 electrons. In the third one, that is the p orbital, you have 2 electrons. Now, this is carbon in the ground state. Normally, these are the valence electrons. There's electrons in the outermost shell. You are aware of the K shell, L shell, M shell, right? It has the different. So here you have S orbital, here you have S and P, here you have S, P, and D. Similarly, so here in the second this we are talking about the S and P orbitals, each one. So when you are looking at now, when carbon has to form bond, so that time carbon is in the excited state. So you have to show it this way. And then that time you don't consider this. This is the inner orbital, whereas you consider these only electrons which are into the outermost shell or the valence electrons. These are involved in bonding, not the one which is away. Total, it has got 6 electrons, 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. 1s2 means 2 electrons in the s orbital, 2 electrons in the second s orbital. This is the first s orbital. And second also has p orbital, which is having this. Again, remember, they are not put in one box. So first, all the equal energy are filled in, and then the filling start. This can accommodate 6 electrons. Okay, but there are no that many electrons, hence only it is having 4 electrons. So you cannot pair the electron. First, all these vacant this need to be filled because they are equal. Then the pairing starts. You cannot just pair it. Now the shape of these orbitals, they have definite shape. So the shape of these orbitals is spherical. S orbitals are spherical. P orbitals are dumbbell shape. So these are having a dumbbell. The boxes which are just, they are dumbbell shape. Now what happens is that, see, if you try to mix these together, now whenever bonding is to form, we know that carbon is having this kind of a bonding, right? Tetrahedral. I mean, there are it not tetra right now. Let me it bonds with its four this. No? It has got 4 bonds. Now you can see that there are 4 electrons, but you cannot. So when it is going to overlap, you know the overlap for covalent bond formation, it should be mutual sharing of electrons. Now in this case, hydrogen is this shaped. Okay, hydrogen is circular in shape. Now carbon, you can see that 2 electrons are circular. So fine, I'm putting in, and 2 electrons are in dumbbell shape. So you cannot put in like this, right? That is, carbon cannot have something like this wherein 2 electrons in dumbbell and 2 electrons in this combining with hydrogen, right? So therefore there needs to be something wherein all of them are in equal energy. Are you following what I'm trying to tell you?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you following? I'm trying to explain you the bonding which is taking place, because they have talked about the hybridization sp3 sp2. I want to explain that hybridization first. Okay, it is slightly, maybe you will be doing it in your advanced classes, but this is something which I thought that otherwise I don't know. I'll just tell you that it is sp2 hybridized shape. What will you know about that? So that is the reason I'm going into this details. Okay, थोड़ा time लगेगा. Maybe we'll have to take some extra classes on Sunday. Let this Sunday go, next Sunday onwards, because this one chapter only is going on. The other chapter, let me complete it on a Sunday, so that they are smaller chapters. So that is my this that before they complete, I would like to complete. This chapter is pretty long. Okay. Anyways, before that, let me come back over here. That what I'm trying to tell you is. So as I was telling you, so carbon now is ready for bond formation. So before that is, it is going into, during this time what happens is that, so as we are saying that 1s2, they are not involved in bonding, they just remain the way they are. The valence electrons, the electrons in the outermost shell, this is 1s2. So these are going to be going, but that time what happens, one of the electrons from, it was like this, right? There were 2 electrons over here. Now, one of the electrons from S shifts to P. Now you can see that they are singly occupied. Here they were double electrons. So this did not need any bonding. But you can see that now one of the electrons shifted. So now they are single electrons. Now whenever carbon has to form, see, now carbon is can have a single bond, as in case of methane. Carbon can form double bond, as in case of ethene. Carbon can form triple bond, as in case of ethyne. So during this bond formation, what kind of hybridization is involved? Now here what happens is that this, you know, is dumbbell, dumbbell, and dumbbell. Now look at the bonding. When you are going to form single bond, you require 4 orbitals. So now so the S and 3p undergo mixing together. S and 3p undergo a mixing together to form 4 equal energy orbitals. Now, because for a stable bond formation, you require equal energy orbital, then only they will combine or mutually share that electron with some other group which is going to combine with it. Now, in this case, when they mix together, you can understand what type of orbital is formed. Now, one circular and one dumbbell. So you can see that now four equal energy orbitals are formed, wherein one has a big lobe and another is a small lobe. One has a big lobe and another is a small lobe. And this is called as sp3 hybridization. This is known as sp3 hybridization. Why is it called as sp3 hybridization? Because 1s and 3p are involved in the formation of this hybrid. Now these carry one electron each. These carry one. Now carbon is ready for bonding. So here in these orbitals you have one electron each. Is it clear so far, Samir and Sankalpa? Are you following?
Yes,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
SP3 or SP2?
sp3, because 1s and 3. Now see, the electron has already gone into p, na? So 3p.
Okay, ma'am.
This is sp3, okay, and this is 1s. So it is sp3. Okay, now you can see carbon. Now, if you have to show the shape of carbon, you can see that this carbon is having like this. It is called as a tetrahedral shape. You know, now this is it. So that the reason for having a definite geometry is, and see, the small lobe is there, but it is not seen. It is behind. It is not shown. This is only the big lobe with one electron. So now this big lobe, now if hydrogen approaches, so now when hydrogen is there, hydrogen is has only one s electron, right? So it will be in the circular shape. It should overlap. So you can see that it is overlapping. Here you are overlapping. Here you are overlapping. Here you are overlapping. Now this carbon is, this is the shape actually of methane. If you remember when the class was starting, I had shown you this. Remember I had shown you the shape of methane. This shape is called as tetrahedral shape. This is a tetrahedral geometry. So all organic compounds have a definite geometry in space, the way they are arranged in space. So they have a definite geometry. So here you are. So here you are. Here you are. And now this is placed so that the all the bonding electrons. Why this is needed? Because ultimately electrons are negatively charged. Like charges repel each other. So always it is better to keep the electrons away from each other. So this is the best possible arrangement. It is called as a tetrahedral shape. This is the tetrahedral shape. Okay. And you can see that they have a bond angle of 109 degrees and 21 minutes, or you can say that 109.5 degrees, and this is called as tetrahedral geometry. Okay, so this is for methane or ethane. In case of ethane it will be same, but instead of one of the hydrogen you can have CH3 over here. And this carbon also has got tetrahedral geometry. Are you following this? कळतंय हे तुम्हाला मी काय म्हणते? ह्या कार्बनची जशी tetrahedral आहे, तुम्हाला जर का इथेन दाखवायचं असेल तर तुम्हाला इथेन also you can show it this way, you know, like this. Say for example, this is one, this, and then another carbon. Here you are. This is another. Okay, see, even this, sorry, this is because, so this is tetrahedral, this is also tetrahedral. This is becomes ethane. Even the bond angle will be 109 everywhere if you calculate it, 109.5 degrees. Is it clear? Am I was I able to explain?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
just follow this. Now the next one will be, just I go further तुम्हाला जास्त कळेल. आता आपल्याला डबल बॉन्ड बघायचा आहे. हायब्रिडायझेशन काय येईल आता डबल बॉन्डच्या वेळेला. Okay, so let us go to the double bond. This once you understand this, things will be much easier even when you are going into the higher. So I'm wasting, not wasting time, I'm taking more time over this. So here you are, come again for now carbon again in the normal state. Now carbon is going to show form double bond. That was for single bond. So when you're showing carbon in the ground state, always when the carbon is in the ground state, show all its electrons. So this is it, 1s2 carbon, 2s2 and 2p2. 2s2 and 2p2. This is carbon is in the ground state. Boxes. Okay, electrons. Here there are two electrons pairing. Here there are two electrons pairing. Here there is one electron each. Okay. Now carbon wants to undergo bonding. So when carbon undergoes bonding, one of the electron from 2p 2s goes to 2p. So now you show it this way. This is not involved in because this is not into the outermost shell. So this remains 1s. Sometimes books don't show this also. They just show only the 2s. So now you can see it that over here you have one electron and here you have again now all are occupied because one of the electrons has shifted towards 2p. Okay, now you have these four electrons. So now they will mix together. But now you can see that, wait, in ethane, before I go further, in that methane, all these bonds are called as sigma bonds. When I showed you the earlier structure of methane, these bonds are called as sigma bond. Sigma bonds are axial overlap. Axial overlap means hydrogen and your carbon are overlapping along the axis. Okay. So these are strong bonds. That is, they are axial overlap. I want to come to parallel overlap that time. That is the reason. So now when you're forming, say for example, ethene. When I want to form ethene, what is the structure of ethene? You can see this. There is one uh, now, in this case, each carbon atom is bonded to how many other atoms in this case? Each carbon atom is bonded to how many other atoms? Hello?
Two.
Two? Look at it properly. Is it two?
4.
No.
Four.
Here in this picture, show me. This is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, right? Where do you get 4? This carbon atom is bonded to 3 atoms, this carbon is bonded to 3 atoms, this carbon bonded to this carbon bonded to this, and this carbon bonded to this. Correct? Are you understanding this? That this right now I'm shown only 3 bonds. Carbon undergoes 4 bond. I mean, it has 4 bonds, but here I have shown 3 bond. Why? Because the next bond is called as pi bond. Do you agree? It is called as pi bond. Correct? You have learned this, right? It is a pi bond, double bond, or it is a pi bond. What is that pi bond? We'll just see. Now, this is a sigma bond. This is a sigma bond. This is a sigma bond. Here also you have a sigma bond. So, now, in case of ethene, let me just do it over here again. Here, carbon, first I want, so how many equal energy orbitals I need in this case for one carbon atom? Can you tell me? How many equal energy orbitals are needed? How many bonds have to form right now with this structure? Am I
Ma'am,
audible?
what?
How many equal energy orbitals I will need in this case? Here, what I have shown you.
6.
No, only each carbon.
Okay.
Each carbon.
4.
Again, you're making the same
3,
mistake.
3. Okay.
Yeah, here, right now, I'm not showing you any fourth bond. I'm keeping it aside. Right now, I'm talking only of hybridization. So for hybridization, I need to form sigma bond. Sigma bond, these are sigma bond. Why they are sigma bond? Because they overlap along the axis. Here it is hydrogen, it is overlapping with this carbon. So it will be overlapping like this. Okay. So this is called as sigma bond. Then this carbon is overlapping with this carbon atom. Similarly, this carbon atom is overlapping with this hydrogen atom. This carbon is overlapping with hydrogen atom, correct? But ethene is not like this. Ethene is also has a fourth bond that I'm coming to later on. So far, is it clear? So now I require how many equal energy orbitals? 3 equal energy. So now in this case, what happens is that this is 1s2. Samir, are you following this? What am I doing?
Yes, ma'am.
कळतंय का काय चाललंय नाहीतर विचारा मला 2p2 आता ते 2p1s2 2s2 2p2 आता when the bond formation is there so I have marked it this way carbon has shifted one of the electrons from 2s 2 has shifted to 2 now I need only 3 this so that time carbon undergoes sp2 hybridization which hybridization sp2 which means 1s and 2p2 will form equal energy how many now it will form 3 equal energy orbitals मगाशी किती होते 4 होते right आता किती होणार 3 so what will be the shape one big lobe one small lobe one big lobe one small lobe one big lobe one small and also this unhybridized this is not hybridized so it will be dumbbell shape this is for each carbon atom this is for one carbon atom this carbon atom similarly this carbon atom also will show sp2 hybridization are you following this much
Yes, ma'am.
okay now look at the fun so here you are having one electron each so now the carbon which is going to be more so this will be the big lobe only small lobe I'm not showing big lobe and this is the big lobe for this carbon now this carbon will also have one big lobe this carbon here this is the big lobe now you can also show the bond with hydrogen all the electrons are there huh? they are here it will be like so here you are the shaded portion is the overlap here you are the hydrogen and this here it is for these two carbon atoms is it clear now the best part is what about this now carbon see 3 bonds are these are called as these are overlapping actually so these are called as sigma bonds okay so these are sigma bonds here it is sigma bond they are also called as sp2 bond sp2 hybridization sp2s hybridization this is also sp2s overlap okay because the bond is called as sp2 bond now what happens is that this unhybridized or it is on this carbon atom this is also unhybridized so it will be dumbbell shape on this carbon atom this is it dumbbell shape means I'm showing both the lobes one upper lobe one down lobe this is the upper lobe this is the lower lobe now you can see that this dumbbell shape yeah it will overlap laterally okay it is also having it will overlap and this results in the pi bond formation this is like lateral overlap this overlap is weaker overlap say for example one moment let me just come back to I want to मी माझा जरा कॅमेरा ऑन करते okay watch my hands huh? Say for example this is I want to show you let me pin myself over here now when I'm talking about this overlap आपण जेव्हा असा हात करून बसतो this overlap is the your axial overlap that is but when you're like this when you're trying to be like this असं आपण बसलोय समजा then you try to overlap this overlap is the lateral overlap or parallel see this is not strong overlap but when you're like this the overlap you can do it and check it also that when this overlap is there this is along the axis it is a stronger overlap but if I try to do it this kind of an overlap this overlap is not a very strong overlap it is parallel overlap that is what happens when you have the unhybridized p orbital are you following it
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
okay fine now I'm unpinning myself so this is what again so let us come back to this so now you can understand the structure of, I'm putting in the structure first of methane, or I can put in the structure of ethene and ethane, both are so similar one. So let me just put it. This is our ethane. Here you are. In case of ethane, you have this sp3 hybridization. Okay. And the shape is tetrahedral. This is sp2s, sp3s. So this is a sigma bond. This is a sigma bond. This all these orbitals are sp2. All these are sp2, and hydrogen is s. This is a sigma bond. Okay, sigma, sigma, sigma. Bond angle is anywhere, means I am showing here the distance is more, but it is at Armstrong unit. It is 109.5 degrees. Okay, 109.5 degrees. Now coming to ethene structure, for ethene we saw that first it forms sigma bond by sp2 hybridization. Here it was sp3 hybridization, here it is sp2 hybridization. Okay, now the unhybridized p orbital, this was the unhybridized p orbital, it went for lateral overlap. So this was the which resulted in the what you call it as the double bond, that is your pi bond. So this is it. Okay, so H H H. Now this has a geometry which is called as the square planar geometry. Okay. Uh, uh, and the bond angle is 120 degrees. The bond angle is 120 degrees in this. Okay. Sorry, not square planar, my mistake. Planar trigonal geometry. This is planar trigonal geometry, and the bond angle is 120 degrees. Always remember that it is 120 degrees. Ethene. So whenever there is a double bond, this is the geometry. Whenever there is a single bond, mostly it is between carbon, and it is a tetrahedral geometry. Now let us see if you have understood this. Now I'm coming to the structure of ethyne. Now here you have, this is the structure of ethyne. Normally here this is, you say that these are going to be your pi bonds. Okay. Now tell me, in this case, how many sigma bonds are there? How many sigma bonds are there? When I show ethyne structure, I will be showing, I'm not showing
3.
how many sigma bonds are there for each carbon atom. 2, right? This is 1 and this is 1. Okay, after that you have double bond, right? This we are not considering. Not following.
Ma'am, overall there are 3 sigma bonds, like, right?
Overall there are 3 sigma bond, that is 1, 2 and 3, right? But overall there are 3 sigma bonds, but each carbon will be requiring to form this bond. Sigma bond actually is formed, see, it will be like this, right? 1 and 2, this is 1 and 2, and this is 1 and, so each carbon will require how many hybridized orbitals? 2, right? Equal energy.
Yes.
See, it is like this carbon, and then you have hydrogen and you have hydrogen. So for a single bond to form, it will overlap with this. So this carbon, one orbital is gone. It will overlap with this hydrogen to form second one. So another, same thing over here. So each carbon will require how many hybridized, that is 2 hybridized orbital. Are you following this? So again, I will show carbon as 1s2, 2s2, and 2p2. Now carbon, this is in the ground state. So when it is in the ground state, you show it, that is each one is just normal this. Here you are, and here there are 2 electrons. But now carbon has to undergo hybridization. So when carbon is showing in the excited state, I'm not showing this, it is over there because it is not. Now you can see that one of the electron gets transferred over here. So here you are, this is it. Am I right? So now we require, each carbon should have 2 orbitals. So now you can see that sp hybridization. This is called as s and p hybridization. It is 1s and 1p, sp hybridization. So it will just show big lobe, small lobe, big lobe, small lobe. And then you have, there are two unhybridized p orbitals. So these two unhybridized p orbitals will later form the pi bond. Okay, so now you can show this. So here you are. Now for ethyne structure, what happens is that you have, this is the big lobe for this, and then this overlaps with hydrogen. This is called as the sigma bond. This is the big lobe, it will overlap with this carbon atom. This is called as a sigma bond, and this is the big lobe which will overlap with. So now if you are looking at this structure, it will be like this. What you said as three bonds, but you require the orbital which were two for each carbon. Am I clear? This much?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. Okay. Now this p orbital, it is, it is perpendicular. In there also, it should be perpendicular to the plane. That is, supposing if you're considering this as cutting the screen, this whole thing is inside the screen. It is like, slicing the screen. Then this will be perpendicular to the above and below, and also you have another p orbital which is perpendicular. So it will be like this, that is, it is coming out of the screen, but again it is perpendicular. Same thing for this carbon atom, it will be perpendicular, and this will be sorry, red color. So it will be perpendicular, and then you will have this sideways overlap. So here this is overlapping. Now here I'm green using for this red one, so you can see. So it is overlapping. So it will be something like, sheet of like this negative charge, that, and inside this you have this carbon, and then you have this sigma bond, H and H, like a cylindrical negatively charged structure. And here this is the sigma bond, this is called as linear structure. This is linear structure, bond angle is 180 degrees. Okay. I hope I have explained you hybridization.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure. So when it is alkane, it undergoes sp3 hybridization. That time you have one s 3p orbital mixing together to form four equal energy orbitals. In that case, what happens over there is that they mix together so that uniformity is there. Otherwise, the bond will not be stable. It is like, this is something very crude example, but supposing if I try to make rotis using a mixed roti, wherein I'm using गहूचा आटा, where I'm using आपला तांदळाचं पीठ, गव्हाचं पीठ, मक्याचं पीठ आणि दुसरं वेगळं आहे का ज्वारीचं पीठ. आता हे चौघही मिळून मी समजा आय ट्राय टू मेक डो. आता आईला चपाती करताना तुम्ही बघितलं असेल ती कसं मळून मळून करते, शी जस्ट नीड्स इट. सो सिमिलरली इफ यू ट्राय टू मिक्स इट, समजा मी मिक्स नाही केलं आणि मी जस्ट पाणी घातलं आणि काहीतरी असं सारवून सारवून ते एकत्र करायचा प्रयत्न, तर त्याची चपाती चांगली होणार नाही ना. मला ते एकत्र करून एकजीव करायला पाहिजे. अँड दॅट इज हाऊ दॅट फॉर hybridization, when it is to be equal energy orbitals need to be formed, and that is the reason why the s orbitals and p orbitals mix together to form equal energy orbital. When it is methane, you require four bonds which are sigma bonds. For that formation you require four equal energy orbitals, and so it is sp3 hybridization. The geometry is going to be tetrahedral geometry. When you're talking about your ethene, you require one pi bond, but you have three sigma bonds. Therefore, how many mixing is there? 1s and 2p to give equal energy 3. Okay, so that is called as sp2 hybridization. And finally, when you're talking about ethene, the geometry is there. Planar trigonal bond angle is 120 degrees. And finally, when you come to the ethyne structure, there you require two sigma bonds, and for that each carbon, I'm talking about each carbon atom, and on therefore there is a mixing of s and p, so it is sp hybridization. Okay, and the bond angle is 180 degrees. It is linear geometry. Am I clear so far? Why I want to go
Yes,
now?
ma'am.
Okay, now let us come here. For this small thing, I had to explain you this, but otherwise you... Now here the carbon free radical is sp2 hybridized. Now you understand what is sp2 hybridized? That is 1s and 2p. So, and reveals a planar trigonal geometry. So you can see that this is that s carbon with this is sp2, this is sp2, and this is, and the remaining unhybridized p orbital is this. Are you following this? So this is that unhybridized p orbital, which is dumbbell shape. Pz, px, py, anything need not be. So this is the shape of methyl free radical. The geometry is planar trigonal. The bond angle is 120 degrees. Now do you follow this? This is the shape of methyl
Yes,
free.
ma'am.
Okay. See, if I would have told you sp3 hybrid or sp2 hybrid orbital, you wouldn't have understood it. Now, alkyl free radicals is classified as primary, secondary, and tertiary. The observed stability order of... Now, again, these free radicals also have a stability. So, what kind of a stability would it be? Based on how it is, that is, whenever a carbon is attached to three other carbon atoms. See, here there would be hydrogen. Okay, so this is the tertiary butyl. But when that hydrogen leaves, leaving its electron with this carbon, then it becomes tertiary butyl free radical. This is most stable. Why? Because again, look at this. This is attached to two carbon atoms. So this is a secondary free radical. Then you have ethyl free radical. That is, this is a primary carbon atom, and this is methyl free radical. So if you are supposed to be looking at the stability of it, that whenever there is so always it is CH3. So here these CH3 groups have electron donating, that is effect. They try to help in stabilizing this free radical. So always more the number of alkyl radicals, the more it will be stable. So in case of tertiary butyl radical, you have more of these then rather than secondary. Secondary is like this. So here you are, there are only two CH. Rather than H, it will always preferable to this because they will stabilize this free radical because of their electron, not minus I effect, it is the plus I effect which is there. And finally you have this as primary carbon atom. This is attached to only one this. So here also you have not CH3, sorry, CH2 it will be. So here it will be less stable than this. And finally you have methyl free radical, the least stable. That is, here each H is replaced. You can see that one H is getting replaced by CH3. So the most stable is this. Then you have this. And so a question can be asked in your exams if it is an offline exam, that discuss the stability of free radicals. Then you have to explain this. Or how are free radicals formed? What is an homolytic cleavage? And discuss the shape of the free radical. You can have a 5 marks question straight based on this. Am I clear? Have I explained you this?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, next time we'll start with heterolytic cleavage. I would have completed this, but my time, I mean, whatever I explained you about the hybridization, and that is the reason why we were lagging behind. Okay, so today let us end over here. Fine.
O- Okay, ma'am. Thank you.